You're comparing a great coach to the greatest coach of all time.
Hey, Kelvin.
Yes.
Lie.
Pep Guardiola revolutionized football. Aside from being a successful manager, he brought about a system where everyone tried to play like him. That's revolution. Luis Enrique did not do that.
Hi guys, it's Ibo Kwesi here. Please don't forget to keep watching Andro Talks Football. And one thing, don't forget to subscribe. Love.
Yes, guys, welcome to the top Champions League preview because we have a special, amazing, adorable, all the balls, all the, right? Here, Champions League, we are back. And Charlie, for the first time in Adult Talk Football, one of my big brothers has joined us for an amazing Champions League semi-final preview. So, without much ado, let's welcome him with a clap offering. Big bro, thanks for coming.
Hey, I appreciate that.
The top Champions League preview. So meet your boy. At least the guy you gave him big ups on social media.
Yeah, top guy.
And my guy, my best friend in the
Bro,
game.
what's up? Good to be here. I'm happy
He
to be here.
said, "I move, you go move." He did plus me on the journey. So yeah, nice to have you, guys. Please subscribe. Today we brought the Malam Go podcast Prince. Because coach is the king. He will come.
Yeah, coach is the guy.
Coach is the king. We'll bring him. But let's go straight into the discussion. For the first time from a Ghanaian point of view, we're not going to enjoy Ghanaians enjoying Champions League semi-final because they don't have the regular teams there. Barca, Chelsea,
Yeah.
Okay, let me I'm not going to add Chelsea. Barca, Madrid, the big boys. Arsenal is the only team that we can say okay, they have fans in their country, so maybe you're going to enjoy their game against Atletico Madrid. But let's start from the PSG Bayern game. I was having this discussion on Twitter. Let me start with you, Kelvin. The gap between Pep Guardiola and Enrique, is it worth discussing? Because people are saying he has done it all too. He has seen it all. He's a big boy. He's doing well with PSG now. He has done it in the past with Barcelona. Is there a big gap? Is it worth discussing that he is close to Pep Guardiola?
He's not close to Pep Guardiola.
Hey.
You're comparing a great coach to the greatest coach of all time.
Hey. Kelvin.
Yes.
Lie.
Pep Guardiola revolutionized football. Aside from being a successful manager, he brought about a system where everyone tried to play like him. That's revolution. Luis Enrique did not do that. Luis Enrique's style is transitional football. He did it at Barcelona when he had the likes of Neymar, he had Messi, and also had Suarez, all in their prime. When you compare it to Pep Guardiola, who had these guys, Messi at Barcelona, I think Luis Enrique had a better squad than Pep Guardiola had when he was at Barcelona.
Interesting.
And then when you look at this PSG side too, he has a very good team that can play the system that he wants to play. But has he brought something new? I think the transitional football is kind of trending right now. Mm-hmm. If you are playing if you are quality players and you're able to do the transition very well, you become a successful team. So I think you should calm down. Pep Guardiola is the greatest manager of all time. Luis Enrique is a great coach. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, and your argument that he's won it all. He's not won it all.
Okay.
He's gone to the national team at Spain. He didn't do well at Spain. Pep Guardiola has not managed a national side yet.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, but even when you look at the club side, Pep Guardiola beats him by a mile. So until Pep Guardiola also goes to the national team, then we can see what he does with the national team.
So for you, the gap is that big?
It's really big. Like I said, look at it this way. The greatest manager of all time, and then a great coach.
Since you're coming from, what do you make of this discussion?
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation. I think it can be close. Mm-hmm. I think it can be close. And it has to be contextual, really, because when you look at what Pep Guardiola has done from Barcelona, when he took over the club was sinking after Frank Rijkaard. You know, the Deco Ronaldinho era, Eto'o was even almost on his way out. Then Pep rebuilt a machine that was by far miles better than any team. Then a couple of managers come. Enrique comes in 2015. Yeah. And he changes the brand of football that Barcelona were playing. It wasn't tiki-taka. It was a mixture of tiki-taka and a bit more freedom to his attackers. So Neymar, Messi, Suarez, brilliant. The midfield was still very much intact. The backline was still very similar. Then he goes on to win the treble as well with the FC Barcelona team. Then, of course, he goes to the Spanish job. When he went to the Spanish job, they needed rebuilding, to be honest. Yeah. I don't think he was a complete disaster in Spain. That Spanish team lacked a couple of things. I mean, he went to the Euro semi-final. Of course, they were undone by Italy. But he came to take over a PSG project, quite similar to what Pep Guardiola took over from Man City.
Yeah, exactly.
It took him 2 seasons to win the treble with PSG and win them their holy grail, the Champions League.
Yeah.
Many would say it's PSG, yeah, but many managers, when they couldn't do it, when they look at the names of managers that have gone there, Carlo Ancelotti and the likes, they couldn't crack
Thomas Tuchel.
Thomas Tuchel, they couldn't crack it. He's gone there and cracked it. And I don't think his football is necessarily transitional.
Transitional, like Kelvin said.
Because in PSG, 90% of the games they play, there is no space for them. Teams are sitting deep against them in League A, even in Champions League in some games. But when they play against the big teams, they pick and choose when to be transitional. They can be very dominating, and they can also be transitional. So I think his style of play is somewhat, even at times, more exciting than what Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola's team at times looked very boring. When his Barcelona team was dominating, Man's team was dominating, they were incredibly boring at times because. But Enrique's team can be very, very entertaining. They can be very entertaining. They can be very exciting. And what he's doing with PSG is quite iconic. He's not needed, the traditional number 9. He's not needed the physical number 6. He's not needed the big domineering centre back. He's just looked at real ballers. Some of them had been there before he came, but he's changed everything around the team. So I think he deserves a lot of credit. And so, yeah, I think it would be close, but still Pep would edge him. So just by the sheer consistency of how Pep has gone on to do it across.
Stuff, yeah.
But people will say Pep couldn't, just like Enrique couldn't crack the national team, Pep couldn't crack the Bayern. But Pep took over a treble winning. No. Pep took over a treble winning Bayern team.
Went to the semi-final 3 times.
But he didn't win.
He didn't crack it. It is Bayern winning. Semi-final it's not success in Bayern.
Exactly.
And he had the most talented Bayern team in that generation. They were on the back of winning the treble.
In a way, you could also say he didn't get the players he wanted at the time. I made this argument. Pep Guardiola would never sign Arturo Vidal, but he had to work with.
That's
Arturo
an excuse, Kelvin. You're making an excuse for him.
I'm just saying. See, when you have the materials you want, like he did at Manchester City, he would have done more, as compared to Bayern Munich, where he didn't have all the materials he wanted.
No, but he had most of them. He doesn't have to have all the material. He had most of the materials.
Exactly.
They brought him Thiago Alcantara. He had one of the best strikers in the history of the German Bundesliga, coming through Lewandowski. He had 2 of the best wingers in the world at the time, Ribéry and then Robin. He had some of the best midfielders, Schweinsteiger in the middle of the park, Philipp Lahm.
Experienced Lahm.
He had Manu Neuer at the time, was very much the best. So
form,
he wouldn't necessarily have all the... Even at Man City, even at Barca, he didn't want some players they brought to him. He didn't have to. At Man City, he hasn't used Calvin Phillips.
Yeah.
He doesn't use Matthias Nunes in midfield.
Exactly.
But he will still win. So both managers have got... The regrettable part of Pep would be not being winning that Champions League for Bayern. But it does not mean anywhere in the world that he's not cut for it. I think it's still close, but Pep edges him.
Just to come in for me, what do you also make of this debate? Then we move on.
I think that there are more similarities to it than differences.
Okay.
We need to put context to it first and foremost. I believe that they are from the same school of ideologies. People call them the idealists. We're talking about Johan Cruyff, Marcelo Bielsa, Pep Guardiola himself, Maresca. All these coaches follow a particular trend of ideology. But then when you look at it, I'm looking at who has impacted the game far more. When you look at Pep Guardiola and Luis Enrique, I feel Pep has impacted the game far more. I made an argument the last time that he didn't invent the false 9 system, but their system that he revolutionizes and then blends it into the game. So like the false 9 system, it had gone to sleep and he had to bring it back. The inverted fullback position. So there are certain things that Pep brings to football that a lot of coaches try and tap into. So in terms of major impact on the game, a long-lasting impact of the game, I think Pep is clear, Luis Enrique. But then when you look at achievement, he has done the treble, Pep has also done the treble. What Luis Enrique is doing with his team currently, I think free positional fluid football, I think is even much livelier than Pep Guardiola's football. So I think that they are not far-fetched. The gap is not too big. He's coming there, but then I still think Pep is much.
So just like it's quite close. So
quite
Kelvin, question for you: if he wins the Champions League again, will you close that gap? For you,
he's getting close. Like I said, see,
okay.
no matter how many trophies Ronaldo will win,
Okay.
Messi still remains the greatest player of all time.
Interesting.
Get it? So
Objective.
They'll come for you, Kelvin.
I know. See,
Anyways, let's flip to the other coach in Germany doing amazing or Kompany. Chicho, how impressed are you with his performance this season? Kompany. Before we go into the game.
I've been very impressed. Remember, he wasn't first choice, he wasn't second choice, he wasn't third choice, he was fifth choice to get a job. He had just sent Burnley on relegation, then Bayern comes calling, he goes to Bayern, everybody's like, it's crazy to think about it, that Vincent Kompany is Bayern's coach. And when you look at the work that he had done, it didn't really inspire so much confidence that he will go to Bayern and do what he's doing. But he's going to smash a lot of Bundesliga records. The number of goals, the number of chances they create and what have you. And the brand of football they are playing has been exciting. But even more so for me, off the football he does on the pitch, is the way he's carried himself when he's in these press conferences. One of the most difficult things to do in Bayern is handling the political pressures. Bayern is an incredibly political space where you have to, and Thomas Tuchel suffered it. He just couldn't cope with that whole pressure. And Vincent Kompany doesn't complain. He works with what he has and he hopes to improve what he has. And that was the difference between him and Thomas Tuchel. In fact, when Tuchel was in Bayern, he's on a verge of, or he's on a run of trying to win the treble for them. What an incredible achievement that would be. But so far, he's been brilliant. His coaching has been superb. In-game management and the style of play has been exciting to watch.
Kevin, let's go into the game now. Let me come to you and ask you quick tactically. How do they stop Hurricanes' movement? That is PSG. Come in for me with that. We are going to the game now. How do they stop Hurricanes' movement? And also, how do they even stop PSG's fullbacks from operating?
You have to get some wingers that will, especially Hakimi. Hakimi, there's a lot of space behind him when he moves. Hakimi has to occupy the midfield. He has to occupy the wide spaces. So you need to get a winger that can pose some threat to him. Like, I think Luis Diaz can do that. It might push him back a little, but it won't stop him though. But when you spoke of Harry Kane, right? Harry Kane, sometimes I feel his movements have been to Bayern's disadvantage.
You feel like?
Yes.
How?
Sometimes Harry Kane as the striker drops deep to come and take the ball from the goalkeeper. Why is the striker doing that? I understand. Even Pep Guardiola told Ryan Cherki that, why is he getting close to Donnarumma? You are the number 10, we understand. Sometimes you have to drop deep if the players cannot push the ball forward. But Pep still told Ryan Cherki that he should move closer to the box rather than coming to Donnarumma to receive the ball. That's what Harry Kane has been doing. Sometimes he drops too deep where I don't really like, because there's a certain number of players in the midfield already. It's about numbers in the middle. And I think these Bayern Munich players have the technical ability to move the ball forward. So sometimes his dropping deep does not help the team. He's absent up front. Then you come and have Pavlovic up front. You can't have Pavlovic up front because Harry Kane has dropped deep. That's not really helping. Where his movement, as the defenders, it depends on the defenders and the defensive midfielder. They are the ones going to monitor his movements because he occupy the box and also the zone 14 as they call it. So who is going to play the defensive midfield for PSG? It's going to be Vitinha and then João Neves. So it's about defensive contribution from these guys, not the offensive anymore. So can Vitinha mark Harry Kane when he's dropping? Can João Neves take off Harry Kane when he's dropping? I think with PSG's positional style of play, they can equally match up to Bayern. But the way they can stop Harry Kane has to be on João Neves and then Vitinha.
But with how he uses Harry Kane, it seems to be working for him. How do they even stop it? And like Kelvin said, do you think it's going to be against them?
I don't think so. I think it's more to the advantage. And it's unstoppable. You can't stop it. I don't think Luis Enrique will even go into the game trying to stop it.
Play his own game,
Because obviously, if a player is a free role player and is number 10ish and is doing it in the final third, he's going to the right. You can ask players to pass him on. So if I'm a midfielder and he's going to the left back, I can pass him on to the left back and I communicate. But if he hasn't the range to operate from his goalkeeper to the other goalkeeper, the space is too wide to be passing him on. So it's impossible to deal with it. What is special about Harry Kane's movements when he's going deep is he goes so deep. However, when he's needed in the box to apply the finishing touch, he's never lacking. And it's special. But I think the one way of maybe trying to halt that, or one way of trying to halt the Harry Kane thing, is how PSG's press setup is done. PSG's press setup is not left to midfielders or it's not left to defenders. It's an all-round team, and it's also being helped by the shared tenacity in the raw game of the players, Kvaratskhelia or Bakola or Doué or Dembele. So it will come down to how much they're able to organize that press together with the midfield, which already is working. So I think Harry Kane is going to be difficult to stop in terms of his movement. And I don't think it's a disadvantage to the team necessarily. I think if anything, it helps. And this is why. PSG's midfield is consisted of 3 very natural central midfielders who can do different jobs. So Vitinha is very central, but he can do the DM, he can do the attacking. João Neves the same. Zaire Emery the same. Fabian Ruiz not fit now, but Zaire Emery the same. Now, if you're playing against Pavlovic and Kimmich and Jamal Musiala now, because we know Gnabry is injured, Jamal Musiala is not a central midfielder, it's an attacking midfielder. So his awareness when he drops centrally is different from what PSG players have done. If Harry Kane is that extra body dropping into the midfield, because he's got positional awareness, it's good for them. But that is where I think PSG might have the upper hand. Because this company team thrives on controlling games and dictating it, right? When he allows Pavlovic and he allows Lima and Co to come together. But I think PSG will have a lot more of that control. So it remains to be seen what Bayern's response would be when the opponents they play against begin to see a lot of the ball and they begin to control the ball. So it's an unknown story that is going to be
Don't know what's going to be happening here. Coming for me, the midfield battle. What do you make of it? Who is winning? If Harry Kane drops deep, is that an extra man for them? Is a plus for them? What do you make of that tactical analysis?
I think it's easier for Bayern to be able to beat PSG if they take certain things into consideration.
Like?
Number one, they need to press high up the pitch in a compact manner. I say this because I've watched PSG.
Do you believe the Bayern press can it work against the
it has happened
PSG
before. You remember they've already played earlier this season, I think 6 months ago. And then what I used to see consistently with this PSG side is that whenever they are building up, usually they leave Vitinha behind together with the centre backs. And then Achraf Hakimi advances. He becomes the pinner to pin the opponent's winger or the fullback. And then we have Nuno Mendes also advance in the row. So what happens with this is that it becomes a 3-1-6. One of the midfielders drops deep. So 3 in the back line, the 2 centre backs together with Vitinha, acting as the conductor, the pace dictator, just like Toni Kroos did for Real Madrid. What I'm saying that they need to press them high up the pitch is that the gap between the 3-1 and then the 6 players high up the pitch is very big. So when you have 3 attacking players, pressing them high up the pitch in a compact manner, number one, the intent is to block passing lanes, and number 2, make them uncomfortable in build-up. It tends to some turnovers for you to be able to attack them. I saw this against Monaco. I've seen this countless times in the League 1 this season against PSG. So they need to press them. Another way I think they can beat them is nullify Dembele. Ousmane Dembele last season and this season, there has been a huge disparity. I'm saying that because Ousmane Dembele last season would drop deep just like Harry Kane would drop deep. This season, he hasn't stopped that. However, what is distinct between this season and last season is that this season, when you check the heat map, he's more closer away from the penalty box than last season. Last season, he would drop deep, but when it's time for him to come to the penalty box, you find him there. But this season, they are close marking him away. And you know how Bayern can do that. I saw that in the first leg. They do a man-to-man pressing. So when he drops deep, you see Upamecano follow him all the way from defensive midfield to wherever he wants to go. And when he does that, he's not scared because there is no space behind the back. Everyone has his man. So everywhere Dembele goes, he goes there. Another way I think they can punish PSG, PSG is they need to take a lot of shots. You remember Donnarumma left Paris Saint-Germain and then they had to resort to Chevalier. Chevalier, when you look at his handling techniques with ball, one of the most downsides for Paris Saint-Germain. You shoot at him, just observe his handling techniques. He's not able to time as to when he has to hold the ball or when he has to let go. It has resulted to teams punishing them this season. They can capitalize on that. One thing I'm looking at is the centre-back partnership. It's Makino starting. If he's not starting, it's Ilyas Zabani starting. The centre-back partnership is the most important thing for me with this Bayern setup. I say this because Bayern themselves do not have so much of a robust defense. in Upamecano and Jonathan Tah. And then you bring in Elias Zabani. I always say that in football, one of the positions that you need a lot of cohesion and rhythm is the centre-back partnership. We've seen them play together, and there are so many mistakes. So I think that PSG capitalizing on this, it can be Bayern Munich capitalizing on this, it can be a hell for PSG.
Nice one.
Yeah, and I agree largely with a lot of the things you said. Just that when Bayern set out to do that one-on-one pressing thing that they do, it could be a massive disadvantage against Paris Saint-Germain, because when it's one-on-one, the coaches are now trusting the players who have got dribbling ability to deal with their men. And PSG have got that in abundance. Vitinha can dribble. So if you've got a man ping on him, he can just skin past him, and all of a sudden there's space. Dembele, Kvaratskhelia, Bakola, Doué, Hakimi, even Nuno Mendes, all of them can dribble. It worked against Real Madrid because there were too many Real Madrid players who couldn't take on players. So only Vinicius Junior and at times Mbappe could do that.
Average.
And again, when we speak about the pressing of Bayern Munich, they have to maybe then adapt to take more risk, because against Real Madrid, whenever they pressed well, there was still too much space between the last man in midfield and the two centre-backs. So we saw Vinicius having one-on-ones, Mbappe having one-on-ones, Vinicius and Mbappe having two-on-twos, Vinicius approaching the goalkeeper, Neuer one-on-one. Look, if you're going to leave Paris Saint-Germain to get one-on-ones, two-on-twos, they'll punish you. Because they've got more players who are a lot more assured on the ball than maybe Mbappe and Vinicius showed on the day. So, yeah, the coaches would have heard they would have known all we are saying, because look, they see before we do. And so it's going to be a massive cry.
So I was coming to the pace of Tah and Upamecano. They can be punished with that. Because Dembele, even when he drops deep, the running, the pace is still there. Isn't it going to hurt them?
I think one of the things that are going to hurt them is the positional fluidity. The fact that you don't have a lot of these PSG players stand at one position. They are constantly rotating. I think it's going to confuse them, and not just the pace. And then they can use the pace to their advantage when they are consistently moving. One thing I love about Luis Enrique is that irrespective of who is in a particular position, there's some personnel over there at a particular point in time. And then they have the players with pace. There's Dembele, there's Desire Doué. All these players are very, very good players, decent pace, and then they can get to any defensive setup that they get over there. I think it's going to be a very, very, very difficult one. But I think history backs Bayern for me.
It's a balanced game. Second leg will decide this time. Crazy. Kevin, let me come to you on your boy Michael Olise. You really admire and like him after Yamal. Oh, now he's better than Yamal.
No comment.
No comment how. But this is the occasion for him. You win these games, you steal these games, you're in the Ballon d'Or conversation. So what should he do? He'll be facing Mendes. Mendes, we saw what he did against Gusto, rather. How Maresca was able to exploit his weakness with the long balls in that Club World Cup final. So what do you expect from your boy Olise in this, crazy time?
Yeah, he's already in the Ballon d'Or conversation.
He's not.
He is.
Where is he? Like, who put him there?
He should be in top 5 by now.
Interesting. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, so Olise, this is a lot of people saw him in the Champions League. They were not watching him in the league because he has 18 assists in the league. People are not talking about it. He has 13 goals and 18 assists. And Harry Kane has about 33 goals and I think 5 goals in the league. But they're only speaking of Harry Kane and not Olise. The difference is like just 7 goals. Coming to the Champions League, he's already beaten Real Madrid. He got a lot of praise for that. You're coming up against a PSG side, former champions. He has to show up. He's going to play against... See, normally when they have this quality winger, they look at who he's going to be pairing with. He's going to be pairing with Nuno Mendes. And I think he can get the better of Nuno Mendes. Nuno Mendes has the speed more than him, but I think he has more technical ability than Nuno Mendes. He has this thing that might not be to the advantage of Nuno Mendes. The ability to go to the bar line and also cut inside. Some fullbacks, like Lamine Yamal. I thought Lamine Yamal, he can go to the bar line, but he prefers going inside more. And against Cucurella, he suffered against Cucurella. But when Olise played Cucurella, you could see the difference. Olise cooked.
Bro, he cooked him that day. I remember.
Yeah, so
Cucu was like,
he did really well against Cucurella. He will do the same thing against Nuno Mendes. Now, when you do these things, it's time for him to get the assists he wants. he shouldn't be focusing on goals because he has these players that can score the goals for him. He gets to the bar line and cross. He'll get a decent game from that. And also, like I said, I told you one time that there's this cheat code that Lamine Yamal has been using. When you stand in the house piece and then you make an inverted cross, you have 2 or 3 players at the end of it. You get a lot of assists. That's what Lamine Yamal was doing last season. And he had Rafinha getting the ball. Either Rafinha has the ball inside or he lays it off to Lewandowski. So this time, it has to be Luis Diaz and then Harry Kane. He can use that to get a lot of assists and then be in the Ballon d'Or conversation, like you said.
All right, guys, but last tactical talk. I've realized that for Bayern, they want to play the ball from the left space and switch to Olise quick. He has the freedom there to get the 1v1s. How do you stop that? Like, because they do a lot and it works for them. They move everything from that side, then they quickly switch to him, then he gets the 1v1. The Harry Kane is now running into the box or around the D. Like, how do you stop that if you are Luis Enrique?
Can I
Okay, quickly.
Yeah, so I feel as a stronger, sometimes it's a team's preference and the technical players they have. When you have the Stanisic, it's not really good of a help to Olise. Like, the left back, sometimes if it's not Afonso Davies playing, they play this guy, I said Lima.
Lima will play also.
Yeah, so when you have Lima over there, Luis Diaz, he likes to carry the ball. Unlike Olise, he likes to knock on the ball. When he how do I say, he decelerates the ball and then look at your body position, then he will accelerate it. They tend to use that side because they have players that can align to that side more. When you play Jamal Musiala, he likes to operate in the left house piece. So that build-up will necessarily start from there.
So it's natural.
So it's just the players are right-footed. Most of the Bayern midfielders. So it's good for them to have the ball on their right, so they can easily switch to Olise when he's free. And when Olise gets their one-on-one, they look for that 1v1 for Olise too. You can't be crowding his piece when you can use it on the other side and then switch. I think it's a very good initiative.
So your prediction for the game?
Prediction for the game.
Apart the Prince, yeah.
Apart the Prince, I'm expecting a draw.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Ticho?
I think PSG will win that one. I think PSG will win that one. Yeah.
Okay. What about you?
Bayern wins it.
Oish, away win. Correct score. For I mean, obvious reasons. Let's switch to